because of the news, and I'm doing regular broadcasts. And we're live on the page. I see us there.
All right. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
So just double checking it. But yeah, crazier than normal with all this. I don't know if you heard of this coronavirus that's going around.
I have. Yes.
And so it's been a little more intensified around here that way. And then in addition to teaching remotely online, there's a lot of my fellow teachers that are not used to this online world, and they're having to really harshly adapt. And so I'm taking on some extra duties there to help my coworkers get through that with whatever tools they're choosing to use, or I'm advising them what they could use, because everybody, I have one guy who's doing a cooking class. Well, he's doing video, and then there's others that are teaching chainsawing. How do you? There's some typical stuff that's typically hands-on. So, yeah. So between all of that, and then I like to see my wife once in a while.
Challenges. I mean, everybody's got to learn this technology, and they've got to learn it quickly. And that's the thing. That it takes a little while to actually get used to things. And if you're watching, please do say hello. Right. Okay. Now we've just had the daily press conference in the UK.
Okay.
And there's one thing that's come out of it. They are trying to increase testing. The government are actually pushing the banks to support businesses, and the banks have put together a set of rules, which means not everybody's getting supported at the moment. But one thing that was noticeable, that they're keeping track of everything. And as an example, I'm just going to share my screen for a moment, and hopefully I'll get the right screen. Otherwise it could be interesting. Okay, I'll bring that up. No, that's right. One thing they are keeping track of, and I'll bring that up into the stream and make it full screen, so you and I are still talking. This is the global death rate comparison, country by country. Not all countries, obviously, but certain countries. And you can see from that China and France have basically major problems. And so have Germany and Spain. So have we. I mean, everybody has problems. This is a global pandemic. It's affecting every single country that you could name. And everybody's doing their best to, to cut back on fatalities and on hospitalization, and to actually manage this crisis, because we've never seen anything like this before. And it's a question of adapting as they see things actually happening. And the other thing, I'm trying to get the right one this time. If I close that tab, it should disappear. Okay. And I'm going to share a second tab. I'm going to bring that tab in. They've all got similar names, so actually trying to get to the right one, because I'm actually borrowing things here, as it were. That's it. That's the one I want. What they have noticed, because they are measuring everything, is that there has been an uptick in transport usage. You can see from the graph that the figures for national rail and the bus and the tube are all down, and there's steady decline of use throughout March. But in recent days, the blue line is cars, and more people have been using their cars. And what the government said today is, don't. Unless you need to drive anywhere, do not drive. Which is sound advice. I mean, there's no reason to go out with the car if things are within walking distance. So the government advice in the UK today is, do not drive unless it's an emergency. David, over to you.
Well, I wonder, thanks for sharing that. I wonder if other countries will begin to follow. It's a bit of a ghost town in Sarnia, but at the same time, I still hear the occasional car go by, and if I were to go for a drive, I'm sure I would see a few cars around. There's nobody parked downtown, unless the few lofts that people do live in downtown. It's certainly quieted down. I was on the conference call again this morning with our medical officer, Dr. Anade, and she said, as of now, there are now 49 cases in Sarnia, and we've jumped up another death. So we're now at 5 deaths in the Sarnia area. So she talked a lot too about stay home.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's those 2 words, stay home. Like I even talked to somebody yesterday. They said, oh yeah, well, I called them about something or texted them, whatever. And they said, yeah, can I get back to you? I'm just over at so-and-so's house. I'll be back later. And I'm like, why are you over there? Because I needed some real social interaction. I'm like, well, we're staying 6 feet away. It's like, it doesn't, even that, like they're saying, if you don't have to be over there, don't be.
Yeah.
There's no, like, we all understand this is hard times, and we're all used to being social. Most of us are anyway, so I've got a couple guys that I know that are like, I don't have a problem with it. I never went anywhere anyway. So except to get groceries. So that's fine. But a lot of people are still dealing with it, and I get it. But FaceTime. I was on FaceTime with my daughter. I had another late night. I was up late and she was up, and we were on FaceTime for a good hour.
Yep.
Just talking while she had some craft stuff. She was making something, and we talked and laughed, and it was almost as good as being there. I just can't hug her. Right. So it's we got to make those better decisions, and seeing that happen with the no driving. I wonder if we'll see that come this way. I'm a motorcycle enthusiast. Mm-hmm. As the weather gets warmer for us here in the next couple of weeks, people are going to want to get out, and I don't know. I don't know.
The temptation, the temptation is going to grow, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I went out on Sunday. It was super nice, like 16, 17 degrees, and I fired her up and shined her up, and I went for a ride. Didn't stop anywhere.
Right. No.
Went for a ride for about half an hour, and then came home and parked her. And then I see my motorcycle club. Some people are saying they're going to ride, and others are going to say they're not going to ride. So they're saying don't wear any of your bike colors or club colors. So I don't know. I did get this in my mailbox today.
Okay, go.
And it says, help reduce the spread of COVID-19. And this is coming from Public Health Agency of Canada, saying a lot of what we already know. Follow the advice of your local public health authority. Really?
Yeah.
Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Yep. Use alcohol. Oh, sorry. No, it says use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Sorry, I misread that. If soap and water are not available, try not to touch your nose, eyes, and mouth. Avoid close contact with people who are sick and practicing social distancing. Cough and sneeze into your sleeve and not your hands, and avoid non-essential travel. And it talks about the symptoms. So, the Canadian government is spending a lot of money putting these out in every household. Yeah. They're spending money on radio. Like, they're going to spend millions of dollars on this. I like to say our government doesn't like to waste money, but, I'm just saying, like, this is something that they're obviously needing to do.
If ever there was a time to actually get the message out, then it is now. We've got advertisements on television on a regular basis, and we've also got messages going out to the 1.7 million people who are actually on 12-week self-isolation. And we've got an email coming out from message letter coming out from my Prime Minister, giving us advice on what to do. They're going to review the current situation where we are on lockdown just after Easter. So there will be no updates until after Easter. So that's been put back so by a week. And we're joined by Tim, and it says, Dave, my daughter does flyer routes, and they're still giving us flyers to deliver.
Well, again, I think if you're, I don't know, they're talking about social distancing. You know, I guess if you're taking the flyer and walking up to the mailbox or leaving it on the porch and walking away, no contact with anybody, I guess that's okay. I'm not the doctor, but from my understanding that they're putting out there, I don't know, is that an essential? I don't know. There's a lot of argument about that. When I had the mayor on last week or over the weekend, one of the things he said was he thought that the federal government should have had a shutdown by now. He really believes that. And he talked about the essential list. And he said to me, who didn't make that list? Like it was a super long list. So I know my son Jason's still working. He works for a retail outlet in a warehouse. Mm-hmm. He's back in the warehouse all by himself. If somebody has purchased something and they're there to pick up for delivery, they have to stand in a certain area while it gets loaded. And then when they have to sign the invoice or whatever, it's set down on a certain table. He walks away, they sign it, and they throw the pen away. Like they're taking it right down. So he's probably okay. I had that conversation with him, but at the same time, he also knows that if he doesn't feel safe, he's able to go to his boss and say, yeah, sorry, not feeling it, and have no consequences for speaking up.
I mean, our political parties have taken a time out, and they're not delivering anything at the moment, door to door. That's normally the way things are actually done. Leaflets go out to a representative in the community, and they go door to door, dropping through the letterboxes. That's stopped totally. Political meetings are taking place over the internet, and Zoom is the tool of choice. In actual fact, our cabinet, for the first time ever, that's every minister in the government, were together on Zoom, and you've got the grid of sort of 30 people all talking, not at the same time, but using Zoom to actually communicate, because our Prime Minister is still in self-isolation and won't resurface till next week, although he is appearing on videos to keep us informed of what's actually going on.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, cancellation-wise, Wimbledon has been cancelled for this year, and so has the Edinburgh Fringe. So those two events have been put back until 2021.
Yeah. So it's, yeah. Well, speaking of politics, I got an email this morning. Well, actually, no, it was about an hour ago now, from our MP, Marilyn Gladue, who is a progressive conservative PC government, and they're putting out the Liberal government. Well, I won't read it that way, but the Liberals want to release criminals during the pandemic. So they want to. It's a really long email, so I'm not going to read it all. But basically, saying the Liberals are saying, okay, we need to serious crime people, all that stuff. I don't know how it's going to work, but they're wanting to release them. So we're trying to protect everybody. One side of that coin is we're trying to protect everybody from this virus, but we're going to put criminals back out on the streets.
Yeah, there is a certain case in the UK which has been taken, and they've made a decision that ladies in jail who are pregnant will be released with immediate effect, because the best place to be cared for, obviously, is in the hospital rather than in a jail. So there are reasons, but I do take your point. And Tim was saying that his son is still working recycling plastic, which is considered essential. Yeah. One of the things that could have been considered essential was garden centres, but it wasn't, because garden centres have got the plants in for the summer, for the period from April through to June, and they will disappear after June. They've spent all winter working on them. They could be adorning people's gardens, but you can't go to a garden centre and buy them, and they're going to suffer greatly over the next 3 months. So it could have been a win-win situation. They could have said, right, okay, let's take the flowers into town and drop them off at every street corner. And if you want flowers, just take them. Instead of which, they're actually rotting away. And it is a sad situation for flowers. But I mean, that's a minor thing, considering everything else that's going on.
Well, I'm not a farmer or a gardener, grower, or anything like that. Jennifer is, and she comes from a farm.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll see more people having vegetable gardens. Does it take, like, I don't know, does it take long to grow tomatoes or cucumber? Like, I don't know how that works.
You've got a planting season, and every single fruit or veg needs to be planted at a certain time of year. And obviously, a lot of the planting should have been done before now. But there are crops that you can actually start growing now. I mean, one of the things that's been with us since 1945 is, well, probably before that, is allotments, which are plots of ground out on the outskirts of town. People can actually, if they haven't got a garden, or even if they have one, then they can have a vegetable plot and they can grow vegetables. John Upton is, he is, what can I say? He's a vegetable grower and a plant grower too. And he looks after the allotments, not just for himself, but for the people too. And they are growing vegetables, so they won't have they will have a supply of vegetables throughout this coming period. Now, one of the things that affects us all is when companies price gouge. And we saw that in our sphere, we saw that with Logitech cameras, where the price just went up, the discounts disappeared and the price just went up. And now you can't get a Logitech camera for love nor money. You just simply can't buy one. Amazon are out of stock. And if Amazon can't get them, then nobody can get them. So trying to get a camera for live broadcasting now is going to be virtually impossible unless you can get hold of somebody's second-hand camera.
Right.
The other thing that's happening is that people are now taking the time to expand their horizons and use DSLR cameras in broadcasting. And in order to do that, you need a device called CamLink. It's the easiest way to do it. It's about $120. You plug it in your camera, USB port goes into your computer, and you can stream in 4K from your DSLR camera. At least you could. CamLink is out of stock as well. So if you're looking to connect your DSLR camera to your, it's going to be very difficult at the moment.
Well, interesting. I actually had one of my fellow teachers who teaches photography reach out to me today with a link and say, hey, have you got one of those lying around? And I looked and I went, nope. And they're about $185 Canadian.
Okay.
I said, sorry, I have no use for that. I just wanted to make a correction. It was pointed out to me when I referred to the doctor here and medical officer. She is actually a male, and I apologize. I knew that there was somebody else on the call that was directing. It was just a Freudian slip. So my apologies for referring the wrong way.
This is live video, and there's so much going on. Do you want to talk about your interview, which takes place in 40 minutes' time?
Yeah, actually, again, apologies for that. It's just there's so much information coming out of my head. I'm certainly not trying to offend anybody. As I said, Stephen, it's been really extra busy for me in a good way because keeping my sanity. I keep busy to keep my sanity. Coming up at 2:00 Eastern Standard Time, I will have a video interview with our Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Sarnia, Rob Harwood, who will be joining me, and he'll be talking about the public spaces and closures and a few other things as well. I'm really grateful for Rob for joining us, and as well as, was able, again, to have the mayor on, the chief of staff of Blue Water Health, our chief of police. I have reached out to Lambton Emergency Services and received a response from them, and will likely be talking to them. And then somebody asked me if I would be reaching out to some other politicians. I do have contact actually with our Premier, Doug Ford, and he's super busy, obviously, right now, but may possibly have him at some point. But I'm trying to not, there is a bit of politics floating around out there, so I'm trying to not keep it, I'm trying to avoid it becoming political. I think most have been pretty good about it. But But I'm finding that people are appreciating having I repeat myself, hearing it from the horse's mouth, so trying to keep that active for everybody.
Speaking of which, every single day, the mayor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, has a broadcast, and he is quite probably he's great orator. He's great at actually getting the message through. And what they're going through in New York is nothing like it's foreign events for anything it's happening anywhere else. And he's able to explain it in a frank and honest way, and to let the people of New York know exactly what's happening, what the government is doing. And if you get a chance to actually watch one of his broadcasts, then do. It gives you a great understanding of how this pandemic is actually spreading and how it's been handled. And right, okay, was that a 7-minute warning?
No, that was my ham radio on in the background. I forgot to shut it off.
Okay, and we have Michael, and Michael is saying, "Hey Dave, hello everyone."
Hey Michael, how's it going, man? Michael's part of the Sarnia Imperial football team. I had him and Jake Tursky on the show a few weeks ago, and hoping that they've got themselves lined up a pretty good team, but I just hope they get to play.
Yeah, I mean the situation in the UK is that Sky Sports are actually offering refunds to people because there is no sport at the moment, so there won't be for the foreseeable future. And Michael, nice to meet you. I mean, the thing is, through these broadcasts, what we're trying to do is to bring together a community to talk about anything and everything. If you ever want to join us on camera, then you're more than welcome to do so, and we'll discuss the topics any topic you like, really. We've no rules on here. David and I never have a script. We talk about anything and everything, what comes to mind, and we play off each other. You're more than welcome to join us, whether from the UK or from Canada. And when are we broadcasting again, David? Because you've got a busy schedule.
Yeah, well, I think we're. I know this week I can do Thursday again tomorrow.
Okay.
But come next week, I'll only be able to do our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Right. So we'll be back at the
same. Wait a minute. Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah, I'm good for Tuesday. Sorry, I got it.
Okay. Right. Do you have a stand-in? No, there couldn't possibly be anybody to stand in for David. Right. Okay.
What do you mean by that?
Let's carry on. And we said that in the UK, the more people are driving, and it's a problem. It creates problems for everybody. So if you are watching this in the UK, we have a day of the year, which is Don't Stream and Drive, which this year has been cancelled. But the message now is shortened. It's not Don't Stream and Drive. It's simply Don't Drive. Yeah. Unless your driving is an emergency, there is no need for you to be in your car. We're all on, I don't like the phrase, but we're all on lockdown. We're all at home. We can go out once a day. It doesn't have to be in your car. As the police explained, the temptation is that if you can go out and you can go out to exercise for the day, you drive to a local beauty spot and you find that you're not alone. And keeping your distance from everybody, social distancing, keeping 2 meters away, is not easy. But if you're driving your car, you're using petrol. If you're using petrol, you have to buy petrol. If you have to buy petrol, you have to go to a service station. If you go to a service station, then service station pumps are one of the best places for coronavirus to live. So you may well be picking up coronavirus on your way out. So if you have to drive, please wash your hands when you get back. The other thing about that is, in terms of refuse collections, we know that there are two groups of people who are unsung heroes of this. Refuse collectors, because if there were no refuse collectors, then the garbage would just be building up in all our yards and gardens. So shout out to every single refuse collector in the UK and Canada. But the thing is, as they said, they will touch thousands of refuse bins every day. So pulling the bin out is not a problem. Bringing the bin back in to your premises, wipe the handle before you touch it, and then bring it back in. Simple things that we can all do. And finally, my final thanks for the day are to civil servants. Now, we see our political leaders on television explaining what's going on and what's being done. The thing that we need to realize is that they're not doing it. They say thank you to the nurses, they thank you to the firemen, they say thank you to every single service going. But there is one service which just carries on and makes sure that everything's working in our countries, and that's the civil service. These are civil servants who run the country. The governments don't run the country. It's run by the civil servants. They take care of the nitty-gritty of the details of making sure that things happen. So from the UK, a shout out to all civil servants. David, over to you.
Yeah, no, great shout out there, and very important. I think I mentioned this yesterday, but I will again. That our Sarnia Fire, Police, emergency services, like ambulance, etc., all did a drive-by parade, sirens and lights blaring by the hospital here, as many of the hospital workers were outside waving thank you. And we've seen a lot of that. I've actually been invited to a few times, and here's this is an interesting part of this, to some drive-by birthdays. There's some young people and well, all over, but in our community that are turning 9 or 10 years old, and they're not quite getting the birthday party they might have expected or hoped for, right? And we've seen drive-by birthday parades, and I've been invited to several. I don't even know some of these folks, but if we're still allowed to drive, I thought, why not hop in my van, go for a drive, toot the horn, wave happy birthday, and make somebody's day, right? So I'm planning on doing that, unless the government tells me that I really should not be driving too.
Okay.
Because I have to be careful, because it's my van says the show with David Burrows all over it. So if I'm not supposed to be out there, everybody's going to know I'm out there.
Yeah, you can't hide. Right.
I can't speed anymore.
My final shout out is to 2 young men in Stockport. Stockport is in the suburbs of Manchester in the UK. And both of them decided that they need to go out for the walk and exercise every day. Why not do something else? So we now have the Stockport Spider-Men. And these 2 teenagers go out dressed as Spider-Man, and each day they visit a different area of Stockport and walk around. And they're having an amazing positive effect, because all the children who live in the area know that they're coming. They go to their windows dressed in their own Spider-Man suits, and it's quite simply makes their day. And if a young lad's got a birthday, then they will make sure that they sort of stop outside the house for a few moments. So the Stockport Spider-Men are making a difference in a very simple way. They are becoming an overnight sensation. They've appeared in the Guardian newspaper. That led to a spot on a national television channel, and more power to them. It is an opportunity for them to actually start a franchise. I hope it continues throughout the quarantine period, and that they're able to go around. And I also hope that Marvel, who of course own the copyright to Spider-Man, show a bit of compassion and common sense and don't jump in and stop them.
Right. Very good. We're seeing a lot of musicians. We have a group that was started here in Sarnia called the Quarantine Sessions, and a lot of musicians jumping in there and playing their guitar and their instruments or whatever. This past Friday night, myself and local radio station K106.3, we went live with what I created and called Friday Night Music Fever, and we've had over 2,500 views on that so far, and I'll be doing that again this Friday night as well. And I'm thinking I'm going to start a local community chat, similar to this, to either Wednesday or Thursday nights. Hey, just hop on and hang out and chat. So again, all of these things that are happening.
Right, David, you've got 28 minutes to your next show. Would you like to close this one?
I do. It's a good thing you keep me on track there, Stephen. And shout out to my friend Stephen Healey, who produces the show and does his very best to keep me on track. That's a hard task sometimes. And I'm glad that we're having this format and able to come to all of you. And I do hope that you'll follow the guidelines. It's really hard, I know, but the only way we're going to get through this, in my opinion, is to help each other out, follow the guidelines. And I promise you, we're going to get through this, but we've got to take the appropriate steps. So stay safe, everybody. From Sarnia, Ontario, Canada, I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. Bye for now.
From Wiltshire in England, bye for now. Take care. And I'm hoping that